I just wanted to show you, I just realized this. My t-shirt says Wyoming, look, yellow sun, right? And look, what I'm starting to recognize is the quantum stripes, right? The split experiment. On the back it says First Christian Church. Love you guys. Alright, hi guys. So, I'm having a great day. I had a great dinner of pastrami on rye with Swiss cheese and I don't know what kind of greens it was. Really good greens. And tomato. Oh my god. And ginger ale. And I got a nice molasses cookie for dessert. So, I'm having a great night. So, I've been looking up Black Knight Satellite and I think I found, basically what we'll find here. I don't know why. I just feel like I'm looking for more, so if there is a part 2, there might be a part 2. Anyway, so we're just going to start with the 17 creepy facts about the Black Knight Satellite conspiracy theory. Quote. Alright. So this was written, and it's important, this was written March 20th in 2018. So this is pretty basic, but it spells out all the facts, and then we'll kind of get into a few things a little more detailed. So in 1998, NASA took a photo showing an object of unknown origin that they claim is space debris. So here's one of the photos. NASA photo, right? No stars. In the photo above, NASA posits what you are seeing is a thermal blanket that was lost on a previous mission. This is what a thermal blanket looks like. Okay. Some people believe the photo shows an alien satellite. The theory has emerged over a number of years and connects a few different pieces of bizarre data that the existence of an alien satellite would explain. So here are the facts. Radio waves we have detected in outer space as far back as 1899, long before there were human-made objects in space. Okay, so just to that's not a sentence. So anyway, moving on. Nikola Tesla was the first person to build a device that was capable of hearing the alien radio waves. He told a reporter, quote, "While experimenting in Colorado, I obtained extraordinary experimental evidence of the existence of life on Mars. I had perfected a wireless receiver of extraordinary sensitiveness far beyond anything known, and I caught signals which I interpreted as meaning 1, 2, 3, 4. I believe the Martians used numbers for communication because numbers are universal." End quote. So in 1954, a Marine Corps naval aviator, writer, and UFO researcher named Donald Keyhoe, so you guys may have heard about him. He wrote one of the early UFO books. He said that the U.S. Air Force had detected 2 satellites orbiting Earth. This was 3 years prior to the first human-made satellite, Sputnik 1, being launched. So there was more on this, Sputnik. In 1960, Time reported that a satellite was engaged in a polar orbit of Earth. Time reported. All known U.S. and Russian satellites were engaged in equatorial orbit instead. The U.S. Department of Defense responded to the article and claimed that what Time reported as a satellite was actually a broken off piece of the Discoverer satellite, not its own device. No proof was offered. At the time of the sighting, the technology to put a satellite into polar orbit was not yet known by either the U.S. or Russia. In 1963, an American astronaut, Gordon Cooper, reported seeing a UFO while in orbit. This report is not listed in any official NASA documents. So, huge photo of him. At a NASA station in Australia, around 100 people also saw the UFO Cooper reported. So, no source on that. Just to note, in 1973, a Scottish astronomy and science fiction author, Duncan Lunan, wrote that he had identified and deciphered a hidden radio message in outer space radio emissions that predate human existence in outer space. Wow, this is badly written. Lunan says the deciphered message said, "Start here. Our home is Upsilon Bootes, which is a double star. We live on the sixth planet of 7, coming from the Sun, which is the larger of the two. Our sixth planet has 1 moon. Our fourth planet has 3. Our first and third planets each have 1. Our probe is in the position of Arcturus, known in our maps." So Upsilon, I don't know if it's Upsilon or Upsilon. Upsilon Bootes is a real star in the constellation called Bootes. So Bootis, and the constellation is Bootes. So Lunan argued that the message originated from a planet that orbited another star in the Bootes constellation, Epsilon Bootes. So Epsilon, another star. Just to be, especially confusing right here, right? So the constellation and the 2 stars with the similar spelling. Yeah, that's strange, isn't it? That's strange how that was named, isn't it? So I would say that's fairly notable. I do not believe in coincidences of language, right? So this means something. So moving on, right now more than 100,000 other satellites are orbiting Earth. A satellite is any object placed intentionally into an orbit in outer space. The moon is technically a satellite, so sometimes the phrasing blah 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 blah. Artificial versus natural. The Black Knight satellite is believed to be an artificial satellite, just not one with human origins. One theory suggests that the origin of the Black Knight satellite isn't alien, but actually an ancient human creation. The idea here is that an ancient race of humans or other intelligent non-human animals on Earth, non-human animals on Earth were scientifically advanced and launched the satellite before becoming extinct. So those are a couple of the theories. Now this talk about the garbage satellites, 100,000 other satellites, and then all of the garbage debris. Remember this, because this is the excuse they have for saying, well, we can't actually find this huge satellite when we want to, right? So let's go on. We want to look at now how this relates to the Mandela effect and Mandela affected. I will be getting into that, so please bear with me. So in 2015, Black Knight satellite interest mysteriously increasing. Let me get a drink. There's Nikola Tesla again. He was Nikolai, that I remember. Nikolia. Nikolai. Huh. So I'm just noticing that. Anyway. Black Knight satellite interest mysteriously increasing. A day after I post an article about a new video of Russia's Tesla Tower, other videos relating to Nikola Tesla began popping up. These concern the Black Knight satellite, whose signals Tesla claimed to have picked up in 1899, long before Sputnik and NASA. Later signals were decoded by a ham radio operator and revealed information indicating the satellite arrived from another star system 13,000 years ago to monitor Earth. So that was the message that I just read, just describing the star system. doesn't, the message, the decoded message from what I've found never says to monitor Earth, 13,000, maybe the distance. See, we don't know where this information comes from, or at least I couldn't find a source for these things here, the 13,000 years ago and the monitoring of Earth. So, but moving on, is the Black Knight satellite showing some interest in Russia's Tesla tower? The videos being uploaded this week don't appear to be new, but their sudden appearance and increased buzz on the internet about the Black Knight satellite is. In 1899, Nikola Tesla picked up unusual signals from an unknown source on his high-voltage receiver in Colorado Springs, which he speculated were intelligently controlled signals that originated from another world. So the other quote I read said he believed they originated from Mars. Astronomers have reported picking up similar radio signals since the 1930s. And Dr. Lincoln LaPaz of the University of New Mexico cited the possible source on Earth orbit in 1953. The U.S. Department of Defense commissioned astronomer Clyde Tombaugh to look for it. A famous article about the Black Knight was published in both the St. Louis Dispatch and the San Francisco Examiner on May 14, 1954. So I did find those articles. At that time, there were no man-made objects in Earth orbit that we know of. So I have read, and I didn't find this, it just became too much, but I have read that there were also reports of it in the 1930s. Since the 1930s, it says here. But here's the thing. So these are Nikola Tesla did not think that he was getting these signals from a Black Knight satellite. He thought that he was getting them from Mars, right? From another world, it's quoted, but he specifically believed from Mars. And then the other signals, right, which were picked up, were supposedly from Upsilon Bootis, right? With that message of, just basic where it came from. Now, how it was decoded, I could not find that either. So there's a lot of mystery still surrounding this, which is why it's taken me so long. But there's enough material here to get started. Really good start. So here's a picture of it here. Again, right, near the Space Shuttle in 1998. That must be the NASA. That changed in 1957 when the USSR launched Sputnik 1. It was reported that an object believed to be the Black Knight satellite was shadowing Sputnik 1. So that kind of puts light to the idea that it was locked into a polar orbit, right? If it's shadowing, it's not locked into an orbit, shadowing Sputnik. When Sputnik 2 was launched a month later, Dr. Luis Corrales of the Communications Ministry in Venezuela photographed it again, shadowing the satellite. In 1960, a Grumman Aircraft Corporation, this was Northrop Grumman in my reality, always Northrop Grumman. A Grumman Aircraft Corporation tracking camera took a picture of it, but the company kept its findings secret. And it's funny because that company has come up in a few of my other videos. In 1963, U.S. astronaut Gordon Cooper reported seeing a UFO like the Black Knight in front of his capsule. A photo taken during a space shuttle mission in 1998, seen in the videos, shows an object many believe is the Black Knight, and a 2014 video feed from the ISS shows a similar object. So I also have some pictures. Just real quick, I'll look at it. So, really bad video. right? Okay. Of course, there's much more about the Black Knight that we know and don't know, including the link to Philip K. Dick. The military and space programs of both the U.S. and Russia have acknowledged at least the possibility of its existence. So why does the sudden interest in videos about the Black Knight satellite? Does it have anything to do with Russia's Tesla Tower? The Roswell slides, I haven't looked into that. Are we getting new signals? What else could it be? So let's look at this connection to Philip K. Dick. Now I did another video called about Philip K. Dick's book Valis called Vials Has No Anagram, right? It's called Vials Has No Anagram, and that would be about some more stuff about Philip K. Dick and his book Valis. So, but I do believe that Philip K. Dick was one of the first people that was affected, and definitely an unusual person in that he did claim to be from another timeline, from another dimension. Right? So this is more, it's kind of long. I'm really sorry, guys. You know, it's better all in one video. The Black Knight satellite, Bracewell probes, and Philip K. Dick. Here follows one of the most interesting and complex stories of space conspiracy, quote, quote, in existence. It's the story of the Black Knight satellite and so much more. We're about to go from a misreported news item from 1960 to theoretical science and radio transmission to the writings of Philip K. Dick. Right? So then they go over here, they're talking about the 1960 Time magazine article detailing the Black Knight satellite. So as the story goes, 3 weeks prior to their publication, analysts working for the U.S. Dark Fence radar program detected an object orbiting above the continental United States. It was labeled a dark satellite, but it seemed to be a man-made object in a near-Earth orbit, but wasn't transmitting any detectable signals, right? So the Dark Fence program found the dark satellite, right? No coincidences. The Dark Fence program's purpose was to monitor known satellite objects, whether American or Russian or otherwise, and to identify new objects so as to stay abreast of Soviet spy satellites and other space military operations that might have been undertaken over U.S. airspace. This, of course, was at the height of the Cold War, and the political climate around the world was focused on military secrecy and keeping up with the Russians. It was also at the very beginning of the global space race. So the Dark Knight satellite had something to do with the space race. You know, the Dark Fence program found the Dark Knight satellite. This is not coincidence. What was strange about this dark satellite was that it was neither American nor Russian, or at least it didn't conform to any known American or Russian satellite at the time. It was also in a polar orbit, meaning that it passed over or near both the North and South poles once per revolution, which was reported to be impossible at the time. So the Time article attributed this dark satellite to mismanagement of the Dark Fence program. Mismanagement. It was suggested that the object they detected was actually the Discoverer 1 Corona reconnaissance satellite that was launched in February of the previous year. Discoverer 1 was intended to have a low Earth geocentric polar orbit. Now, if it was designed to have that, why is it reported to be impossible to do? See how these stories make no sense? But it's in the fact that they make no sense that catches my attention, that makes me feel that there's something being hidden, right? But plus the synchronicities that I personally have had with Philip K. Dick and his books and his stories, even the series, you know, just these different things. So so right from the start, Black Knight was an enigma, even though many accepted the idea that it was really just a misplaced American science project. Others, of course, felt there was more to this than was reported. There's Gordon Cooper again. On September 3rd, 1960, a camera at the Grumman Aircraft Corporation Long Island factory managed to capture an image of the object. So, you know, it was passed over to them to find the object, apparently. It was said to be a reddish-pink glowing object moving in an east to west orbit, which is apparently the opposite of other man-made satellites. Now, that's an equatorial orbit, which doesn't fit the polar orbit reported by Time. Subsequent to this, astronaut Gordon Cooper allegedly caught a first-hand glimpse of the object during his 22-orbit Mercury Atlas 9 flight, which was the final of the Mercury program missions. Cooper claimed that it was an object much larger than any other man-made satellite of the time and that it glowed a neon green. Gee, that's really sounds hard, really difficult to find something like that, doesn't it? Reddish pink glowing or neon green glowing. Much larger than any other man-made satellite. So not only is it larger, but it looks different and it glows pink or green. Right? Cooper, who passed away in 2004, had long been sympathetic to the ufology movement and had been vocal about not only the reality of extraterrestrial life, but also the idea that the U.S. government had been and continues to be complicit in a cover-up of contact with such. Well, you think? All of these things that I've read and in the previous article that don't add up or make sense? Then, in 1998, during, during NASA mission STS-88 to the ISS flown by the Space Shuttle Endeavour, images were captured of an unidentified object in orbit, an object that a great many people believe is the ever-elusive Black Knight satellite. Following Time's publication, John Keel detailed the discovery in his book, Disneyland of the Gods, wherein he noted that around the same time that Dark Fence detected this mysterious object, ground-based ham operators were reporting having received strange radio signals, and that's where we get the decoded signals, so-called. According to Keel, one such ham operator received and decoded a signal and claimed that the message corresponded to a star chart plotted from Earth 13,000 years ago and focused on a star system called Epsilon Bootis. And this is where things get really interesting. So the articles conflict. Upsilon Bootis, right, was in the message. Epsilon was identified by the other guy later, right? That ham operator was Duncan Lunan, a Scottish author of science fiction, okay, with a focus on astronomy and spaceflight, okay? Lunan claimed in an article in the British Interplanetary Society's magazine, Spaceflight, the British Interplanetary Society, that he had encountered and interpreted a signal from an alien probe somewhere in orbit around the Earth. He said that the same signal had previously been detected by researchers in the 1920s who were studying the long-delayed echo effect, or LDE, which you may see on your phone. Isn't that strange? No coincidences. You may see your signal change from a 5G to an LDE at times. But that they had disregarded the encoded message as having been an echo of an Earth-originating signal bouncing off of either the moon or Earth's upper atmosphere. In his article, Lunan relayed the decoded message as follows, quote, "Start here. Our home is Upsilon Bootes," with an E. Isn't this obscured? And how these change from article to article, right? which is a double star. We live on the sixth planet of 7, blah, 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 blah. Our probe is in the position of Arcturus, known in our maps. Many believe, including Lunan, that this message came from a Bracewell probe in orbit around Earth. Now this has merit here, I think. A Bracewell probe is a theoretical autonomous satellite built to remotely explore distant star systems with the expressed purpose of communicating with an alien civilizations, so a drone. An interesting coincidence in all this is that the concept of Bracewell probe was first proposed by telecommunication and radio science engineer Ronald Bracewell in a paper published in 1960, the same year Black Knight was discovered. A notable example of a Bracewell probe is the device that featured in the Star Trek Next Generation episode The Inner Light, Season 5, Episode 25. I don't remember that. Might check it out, though. It is also interesting to note that one of the theoretical causes of the mysterious LDE long delay echo effect, which is a strange anomaly experienced by radio operators, wherein transmitted signals echo back to the transceiver several seconds after transmission, is that the alien technology is retransmitting those signals back in the direction of the transmitter in an effort to communicate, possibly by a probe located in orbit. Okay? Interesting. So, also to note that it wouldn't necessarily have to be a probe located in orbit retransmitting signals back at you. It could be any number of government entities, I could guess. This isn't the most widely accepted theory used to explain LDE, of course, but it is listed as a possible cause for the effect. The effect. Among electromagnetic interference and EME, or Earth-Moon-Earth signal bounce, or even EME, double EME, Earth-Moon-Earth bounce transmission signal. Now we're about to dive into the real weirdness, okay? So this is where we come in, the real weirdness. In 1980, Philip K. Dick published what many believe to be his magnum opus, Valis. Valis is an almost autobiographical novel wherein he detailed many of the strange and paranormal experiences he had over his lifetime. Up to that point, obviously. In that book, he detailed an event that occurred on February 20th, 1974, at his home in Chicago, Illinois. He received a delivery at the hands of a beautiful young woman who wore a gold necklace with an odd fish-shaped pendant. Dick recounted that the sun glinted off of the pendant, which caused what he called a pink beam that penetrated his eye and imparted untold wisdom in the blink of an eye. Dick claimed that this pink beam, which he claimed to have experienced on multiple occasions, was a transformative event in his life, and although most saw it as a hallucination, he used the experience, referred to as 2374, which is, I imagine, the date, as inspiration for the Valis trilogy. Could be Valis. There are a great many people who believe that the origin of that pink beam was in fact the Black Knight satellite. So that was my thinking. Associating the pink beam with the reddish-pink color of the satellite. It's fairly well known that certain, for me it wasn't the color, because I learned about the color of the Black Knight satellite later, and as you'll see, I'll show you, all of the pictures are showing it as black. So that is another question of how, where this pink idea, reddish pink, and where this neon green idea are coming from. It's fairly well known that certain academics view Valis as the result of comments made by Dick in his exegesis, I talked about that yesterday, as a sort of cipher key, needed to decode the true meaning behind Dick's 10 most important works, which are known as the meta-novel. Those works are Eye in the Sky, Time Out of Joint, The Man in the High Castle, The Game Players of Titan, Martian Timeslip, The Three Stigmata of Palmer Eldritch, Ubik, and A Maze of Death. So, I touched on this yesterday. The Blade Runner novel, oh, it escapes me, the Electric Sheep novel. I read that right after I watched the movie, and I didn't understand it at all. But I will tell you that now I am affected. His books make a lot of sense. They will make sense only to an affected person. So there's no cipher. It's not a cipher key. You know, you can see how an unaffected reader would try to would be really preoccupied with trying to make sense of these things. But if you read these books or his stories, you will see, you know, he's constantly referring to the Mandela effect, even though at the time, you know, it wouldn't have been called that. So you'll see that he spoke our language, and that's why his books don't make a lot of sense to people who are not affected. Believe that's also what has given him such a cult status, because, you know, there's a lot of truth in those books. Right? A lot of the thoughtfulness that affected people's show. The fact that Eye in the Sky was written just 3 years before Black Knight was discovered suggests to some that Dick was the recipient of otherworldly communication, possibly from a civilization hailing from the Epsilon Bootis star system. So I just listened to this book on YouTube. Right, and he did mention Epsilon Bootis. Now I'm confused about these names. See, this is what happens when you go through all of this, and it's one thing and then the other. It's a deliberate confusion of the mind, right? So how do you pick out the right star in the Bootis system, right? You might be thinking that it should now be a fairly simple endeavor to confirm the existence of such a thing in orbit around Earth, as if it's still there, that is, but consider this. So here's all the explanation and the lies about why they can't find this. It's that huge, oddly shaped satellite that glows pink or green. You know, it's, you know, well, we need a net, guys, right? So here's the thing about all of this. The above may seem like a lot of conjecture and supposition, but perhaps some of it is. Surely it's a stretch to say that Philip K. Dick was a harbinger of tidings from an alien species using a Bracewell probe. Right? Surely it's a stretch. I do not find that to be such an incredible stretch. Right? Whether alien species, that I don't know. How would I know that? Right? So, he definitely believed that he was in communication with a satellite. So, here are the two articles. I'm not going to read them. I know they're long, from the 50s. I will put this link up here, but I didn't find this particular article worth a reading, just that it shows these other original articles. So I'll just leave you the link there. Now, oh, I missed something here. Okay, so yeah, one more. Sorry about that. Okay, so there was a report of the Black Knight satellite shot down. Secure Team 10 reported it. There was a lot of debunking and all of that. March 17th, 2007. March 17th, 2017. So just real quick, I won't show you the whole. Antimatter warhead. Hey, isn't CERN messing around with antimatter? Stars. "2017 stars." March. Excuse me, sorry guys. Okay, so that's basically it. Supposedly the satellite getting shot down. Right? So here's a video from February 2018 saying that it's back. Now it's not glowing pink or green, is it? It's not black either. There are no stars, and where's all the freaking debris supposedly out here obscuring this object? Anyway, so I guess it's back, right? It's back. Or they're gonna say that it's back, you know, whatever it is. I'm not going to draw any conclusions, really, except to say that Philip K. Dick did seem to really and truly and honestly believe that he was getting transmissions directly to his pituitary gland, in fact. And Nikola Tesla did really and truly seem to believe that he had found a way to communicate with an off-Earth signal. So this Black Knight satellite seems to be really the only candidate given the dates. Unless there are other satellites out there that we just have no idea of. So it's a mystery. It's a mystery. So there's just a little bit more. Here are the images. I will put the link up for these. So always looking black, or yeah, that's kind of silvery there. I don't see any glowing, you know, pink or anything. Glowing green, you know, there's this. I do not think this is a real photo. I do think this is some artist's rendering. You know, these seem to be the pictures that I'm familiar of here, you know, here. So I'll put the link up. Something that stood out here. Black Knight 1 Enoch 41-8. Okay, this I believe is the constellation Sagittarius and the night, right? Funny, huh? And over here the numbers, which I see constantly and others do as well, the 444. Yeah, isn't that odd? And so I'm going to end my video by reading to you this Enoch 41. It's short. It's interesting, and it makes a good ending to the video. So, chapter 40. And chapter 41, I'm sorry. And after that I saw all the secrets of the heavens, and how the kingdom is divided, and how the actions of men are weighed in the balance. And there I saw the mansions of the elect, and the mansions of the holy, and mine eyes saw there all the sinners being driven from thence, which deny the name of the Lord of spirits, and being dragged off. And they could not abide, because of the punishment which proceeds from the Lord of spirits. 3 to 9 Astronomical Secrets. And there mine eyes saw the secrets of the lightning, and of the thunder, and of the secrets of the winds, how they are divided to blow over the earth, and the secrets of the clouds and dew. And there I saw from whence they proceed in that place, and from whence they saturate the dusty earth. And there I saw closed chambers, out of which the winds are divided, the chamber of the hail and winds, the chamber of the mist and of the clouds, and the cloud thereof hovers over the earth from the beginning of the world. And I saw the chambers of the sun and moon, whence they proceed, and whither they come again, and their glorious return, and how one is superior to the other, and their stately orbit, and how they do not leave their orbit, and they add nothing to their orbit, and they take nothing from it, and they keep faith with one another, with each other, in accordance with the oath by which they are bound together. And first the sun goes forth and traverses his path according to the commandment of the Lord of the spirits, and mighty is his name for ever and ever. And after that I saw the hidden and the visible path of the moon, and she accomplishes the course of her path in that place by day and by night, the one holding a position opposite to the other before the Lord of spirits. They give thanks and praise, and rest not, for unto them is their thanksgiving rest. For the sun changes oft for a blessing or a curse, and the course of the path of the moon is light to the righteous, and darkness to the sinners, in the name of the Lord, who made a separation between the light and the darkness, and divided the spirits of men, and strengthened the spirits of the righteous, in the name of his righteousness. For no angel hinders, and no power is able to hinder, for he appoints a judge for them all, and he judges them all before him. So, God bless you guys. Have a great day. If you stuck around for this whole video, this long video, good for you. I love you guys. If you only watch it in little 5-minute intervals, I really don't blame you. So, but I will possibly do a live stream tomorrow evening. So have a great day, and God bless you.